We will begin with Professor Cheng Enfu. Professor Cheng Enfu is the head of is the principal professor at the Cass University, and he will start us off today. And he will speak to us. He has sent a video, and Dr. Zershu Liu will read his speech in English. So go ahead, Zershu.
Okay. Last year, I believe in September, I spoke in the launch meeting of the manifesto through plurality to socialism. The manifesto has a clear theme, profound ideas, magnificent momentum, and it clearly articulated the history, current status, and future of world socialism. The international situation over the past year has continued to confirm the fundamental point of the manifesto. And in the following, I would like to share with you a few points of mine on the development of socialism in the world for the sake of discussion. First, the severe situation of the COVID-19 pandemic in the West and in the world has led more people around the world to realize the advantages of socialist system and its way of governance. So far, Russia has exposed dozens of US biological labs in Ukraine. Scientists from various countries have suggested that coronavirus might have originated in the United States, while the United States, however, has evaded all these questions. And it is now the third year of the pandemic, and no one knows how long it's going to last. As the manifesto rightly says, as ramshackle capitalism responded to the pandemic, inevitably, symbolically, metals nosedived. Whether they denied it or forcibly pitted lives against livelihoods, their responses to the pandemic amounted to the social murder of millions and induced economic crisis of historic proportions. In contrast to the dual bad situation in the West, socialist countries like China, Vietnam, Cuba, and North Korea follow the human rights principle that prioritizes people's life and health and has achieved the dual goal of epidemic prevention, control, and economic development. Second, Russia's special military action triggered by the West has led more people in the world to realize that socialist system and policies are peaceful in nature. The Russian-Ukrainian war is triggered by NATO's eastward expansion and Ukrainian semi-fascism. Russia is fighting against US Western hegemony, revealing dozens of US biological labs in Ukraine, opposing Ukraine's brutal violence against the Russian nationality in Ukraine, and throwing a blow to the autocratic regime of monopoly bourgeoisie in Ukraine that prohibits the dissemination of Marxist and communist ideas and banned the Ukrainian Communist Party. For these reasons, the Russian Communist Party and other progressive forces in the world are supporting the Russian action against the US and Western hegemony. This has led more people around the world to realize that imperialism is war, as Lenin famously put it. Third, the US and its allies in the West are promoting hegemonic and unilateral warm war and new Cold War, which has led more people in the world to support the progressive forces of the world as represented by China and Russia to team up and oppose hegemony. The new pattern of international politics today is characteristic of an imperialist alliance in confrontation with Russia and China, with the decline of US hegemony. Since Biden came to power, the United States has been actively building a trilateral security partnership with Britain and Australia, a quadrilateral security dialogue with Japan, India, and Australia, a Five Eyes alliance with UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, and an Indo-Pacific economic framework. The US and UK plan to transfer weapon-grade nuclear materials to Australia to build nuclear submarines, and a series of nested small circles have been formed on the basis of the Group of Seven, and Britain followed the United States closely, as well as Japan. As the manifesto points out, today that struggle stands at a perilous juncture, this long-brewing crisis brought to a boil by the pandemic, manifestly making a poor contrast to China's manifold successes. The leading imperialist nations seek to lead other imperialist and lackey countries in the new Cold War against China. Never has so much destructive power has been concentrated in so few irresponsible and desperate hands to wield against so great a majority of the world's people and peoples with an objective interest in socialism. Fourth, the outbreak of economic crisis in the West in 2008, the severe pandemic and conflict between Russia and Ukraine have accelerated the rise of the East and the fall of the West in the world economic structure, and has encouraged more people around the world to support the development of socialist China and the idea of cooperation and development in a community with a shared future for mankind. China will continue to work with friendly countries to build the Belt and Road Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the BRICS, the Group of 77, and the Global Development Initiative, and increase funding for the Global Development Promotion Center of China International Development Cooperation Agency. This will greatly improve the development of national economy and people's livelihood in developing countries, including socialist countries. And the last point I want to make is that 2020 marks the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Soviet Union, which is worth commemoration and continuous study. As the manifesto rightly points out, the indefinite closeness of our tasks requires that we secure the legacy of the Soviet Union and all attempts to build socialism high settled with a historically just balance sheet of their achievements, limitations, and failures. These are a few points that I want to share with you here today. Thank you very much. I look forward to more detailed discussions.
I'm Michael Hudson. I'm appearing here for the International Manifesto Group. If you like this video and ones like it, please subscribe. For more information, go to the address on the screen.